Good. We just finished the movie. I think it was pretty incredible.
Great, thank you.
So let me just see if anybody has any questions for you.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter what they are. If I don't have the answer, I'll find them. Well, Swaziland is, that's the chart that we showed that after 10 years of the use, they brought the malaria rates down to about, the parasite prevalence down to about 5%. There are other countries that are starting to really stand up, partially due to the efforts of this film, and due to a few key people, some of them which you saw, many of them actually which you saw in the documentary, that have devoted, pretty much their life, if you will. I mean, everyone has a job that pays the bills, but uh, they they are continuing to not let this issue go. That's why I dedicated this film to Dr. Edwards, because he single-handedly kept the hope alive for millions and millions and millions of people. And in my opinion, if anything ever comes of this, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. So the answer to your question is yes, Swaziland. I think Namibia is starting to look at it. Kenya is starting to take a strong look at it. When I was there in Kenya, they would not touch it, and many would not. Mozambique actually has started using it as integration, and that's a smart practice. They do that a lot on farms and things. They'll rotate different pesticides so the bugs and things won't get resistant to its toxicity or its kill effect. So not as fast as we would wish, but yeah, even Malaysia, a couple of top scientists there are really starting to stand up, and so there's rumblings that they may start using it too. I mean, obviously, it's not about overusing anything, but this DDT is really, really, really safe, and I wouldn't have drank any other pesticide. I can guarantee you that.
Is there anybody in the government or the NGOs who are trying to mount a science-based defense of DDT right now?
Oh, well, yeah, that's an ongoing thing. See, and there's many things that I cut out of the documentary. I mean, this thing would have been gone with the wind. I've got so much data. In fact, I've got five filing cabinets, five drawer filing cabinets full of every study on DDT dating back to the 1940s when they first started studying DDT. So the answer to the question is yes and no. There's a lot of studies, what we call junk science. When you start looking at these studies that say may, possibly, linked, I love the word linked. You guys, you and I are linked right now, right? Well, what does that mean? I'm linked to you guys through Skype. So when you start looking at all these what we call junk terms, they really don't hold water. There's not been one single human death ever attributed to DDT, not one. There was one death that's cited in the literature, but this person drank kerosene and DDT together. Well, you can't call that a DDT death. The kerosene itself is very noxious and toxic. So, yes, there's been many, many, many junk science studies. In fact, that is what the major defense was, as I pointed out in some of those 9,312 pages and during the EPA hearings. There's a lot of junk science that they used as evidence, but what they used more than anything was emotionalism and fear, and they got the American public and the Canadian and the rest of the world eventually on board to show how bad this was. So there's a lot of studies, but they're not peer-reviewed, double-blind, solid data that shows there's any harm to DDT. Now, as far as my studies, if you put too much DDT into a closed system, and a closed system means like a pond or something, it will harm fish. Now, some it won't. It won't hurt the fish at all, but too much, you can get a toxicity level with fish. But all other animals and birds and humans, no. I just have not seen it, and it the whole thing of it biomagnifying up the chain and stuff, that is not true either. DDT is degraded just like anything else. If you put some of it in a cold, dark place in Antarctica, yeah, it'll last 100 years probably. But in a hot, humid environment, it just gets degraded like anything else into innocuousness. And that's a proven fact. There's studies that show that, especially that one where they put it in seawater down in Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Okay, my friend Tamira's asking, what should she do now?
Well, that's a great question. Everyone always asks that, is spread the word, spread awareness. You know, get on the internet, blog about these things. Whenever I get DDT alerts from Google, in fact, I got 5 today that said, you know, the Eagles have made a comeback because they banned DDT. Well, that's just simply not true. And now that you've seen this, you have facts, you know, and things that you can back up your statements with. And that, you know, I've had many diehard environmentalists, and you know, I'm for the environment too. I don't litter. You know, I think you should be a good, responsible steward for the earth, no matter what. But I have seen some very diehard environmentalists that have watched this film, and they walk away with a question mark in their mind, which that's all I could wish for, is for you, the public, to just question things. You know, do you repeat something just because you were told that or was said in the media, or because something you know? What I learned more than anything is just not to go along with the party line. If someone says something, I said, well, I don't know. Let me check into it, and I'll get back to you. So then I would dig. That's how I got onto this story, is by questioning things. And I really thank Fred Litwin for putting on this event. I don't know that he agrees 100% with what's in the film, but I do know that he agrees 100% with showing different views to things, and to have an open mind to anything. That doesn't mean you have to believe it one way or the other, but you can go dig in and find out for yourself, you know.
Okay, why did you not talk about the eradication of malaria in North America and some of the Western countries? And
Well, actually, I did talk about that. Um, uh, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail on it because it's kind of a foregone conclusion. But in the history, if you'll recall, I said, you know, there were 6 million cases of malaria annually in the United States, and by 1951, it was completely eradicated. Uh, that's a small statement, and it doesn't. I agree, it doesn't go into a ton of detail of what happened there. There were many things that were happening at that time, including draining wet swamps, which are now protected as wetlands, and that's a whole other story. And getting screens on windows and things like that. But the major way the United States eradicated and wiped out malaria was by spraying DDT.
so people think of malaria as a tropical disease, but what about Canada, Alaska, Siberia, some of the more northern countries?
Well, again, they wiped it out with DDT, period. And it's true, it is more prevalent in equatorial or, you know, very humid, hot environments, but it was everywhere. In fact, the reason that, a tidbit of information, the reason that the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, is located in Atlanta is because malaria was all in the southern states. And so they called it the Center of Disease Control and located it in the South in Atlanta. But back to the young lady's question, she was saying, you know, now that we see this, what can we do? I didn't finish. You know, blogging on the internet, directing people to this site, the website, so they can see is www.3beingaccounting.com. They can donate some monies to the efforts to continue doing events like we're doing now. I will send right now. The DVD is going to be available. We've been working on that. I funded this thing completely myself, and so that's been part of the. I didn't have $1 million tucked away in the bank, to do this. It's just something a passion that I couldn't stop doing. But that and just the biggest thing is awareness. When the major groups of people worldwide become aware of issues, then you hold government people and agencies and things accountable. Then they know that the cat is out of the bag and they must do something. And so, number one is awareness, blogging, this film, and anytime you see something that is that's saying that DDT is super harmful, dig in deeper and take a look, because I can guarantee you, if you look into the science there, it's very weak. Like, for instance, they'll say that DDT is linked to breast cancer. Well, so is soy. Actually, soy is a stronger estrogenic than DDT is. DDT is an estrogen mimic, if you will, very, very weak, but it is. And there was a big scuttlebutt down in Florida at Lake Apopka, I believe. I can never say it right. Where the alligators' penises they were measuring were shrinking. Well, they blamed that on DDT. What they really didn't take a look at, and later, of course, that's what they do. They plaster this stuff all over the media, and then they find the real reason, and then they will put a two-liner in section E12 at the bottom of the page, retracting it. What they found was that they didn't address in Florida, all the birth control pills that women were urinating into the toilet, and it was getting into the lake, and birth control pills obviously are a very strong estrogen mimic.
Have you posted any of those 9,000 pages from the EPA on your website?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. The answer is no, but the nice thing is that I have digitized all 9,312 of them. I think actually 11 were blurry out of that whole batch that we photocopied. But it will be coming up online, and we're working on that. Obviously, it's a storage issue and a kind of a mammoth project, but we do now have them digitized, and what I plan to do is release the science of DDT.com and show the hearing examiner's, Judge Sweeney's report, so that people can see that and see what he had to say. It's about 110 or 12 pages, I think, his summary. And then I wish to publish the administrator's hearings summary and report, and then the 9,000 pages. So all of that stuff will be available very soon at your fingertips. Until I made this documentary, I'm telling you, there were many of those 81 volumes that had not been cracked open. They had the original string bindings on them. I cut them. I could tell there's not even a crease anywhere in some of those volumes, probably 3/4 of them. I think Dr. Edwards had dug into some of them because I could tell that probably 10 or 12 volumes had really been really looked into and copied. So the answer is, it's not on the website, but the science of DDT.com will be coming online very soon, where you can see all of this stuff.